Welcome guys to another weekly video. Today we are going to analyze the DXY, then we are going to analyze the Euro USD, the Pound USD, the USD CAD, the GBP CAD, and finally we are going to see to analyze the goal for the next week. So we are going to start with the dollar index. The dollar index, we are going to go on the weekly. Just be careful, guys, because next week on Wednesday, especially, we are going to have NFP, and on Friday, we are going to have the CPI, so the inflation. And if these numbers, for the moment that the NFP they are going to be better, so better than 70,000, possible, that we are going to have some more dollar. Rallies on the short term. However, if the numbers they will not be like so much, like less than 100,000, then it's gonna be like quite a soft number, and possibly that the bearish momentum on the dollar to continue. So we are going to see the dollar index. So the dollar index, if we are going to go on the weekly chart, we can see clearly, that we are now, in the range bound market on the dollar, because, from the bottom went to the top, again to the bottom, top, bottom. If we are going to see, what happened before, we're having the bearish trend. So the bearish trend is still intact on the MACD. Now we are developing the divergence. So what I'm expecting from here for the price to make, for me, I'm expecting for this correction to come here, and after this correction to have one more lower low created, complete the divergence on the weekly and on the daily, and only after this to look for the bigger buys on the dollar, before further and further maybe lower lows, because still the Fed they need to cut rate this year, as at least 2 rate cuts we are going to have. And now if the numbers with the inflation and the NFP they will not be so good, is gonna mean that possible to cut the rates starting from March, or if not they are going for sure to do it from in June. Okay, if we're going to go on the daily, so on the daily, like I said earlier, and on daily we are still in the range bound market. We had another fake out here, but the price came back and made its correction. We can see clearly on the MACD that we don't have any signs against the bearish momentum. So for this one, if I'm going to put even the Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low, then we are going to see where the price our price and the correction can go, and from there to look for the sell. So the first zone possible that we are going to have here on the golden ratio on the Fibonacci retracement, if this higher, so this one is our lower high, if this one is still gonna hold, the trend is still gonna be bearish, and we are going to leave it like this. Because what I'm expecting from the daily, I'm expecting, so here we have the first wave to the downside, we created the second wave to the downside, and now I'm expecting the last leg to be created, so correction and one more leg to the downside, complete the bearish divergence, like I said on the weekly, now the daily, and then I'm preparing to see some buys after that. But for the moment I'm going only to look for the sells. If we're going to go on the 4-hour chart, so the 4-hour chart, the same like a daily and the weekly, no signs against, only some slowdown on the histogram. And now we have the correction. So here the correction, we entered on the 50% Fibonacci retracement. Here we can see here clearly that this is a strong resistance around this zone. So possible that from here, from this zone, if the last low is going to hold, possible that from here to see only sells and further sell to the downside. If in case the price is going to go higher, so what we can see here, that we already have crossover, but now here we can easily make another like bearish divergence. So if the price is going to create to be something like this, so we are going to have this move, then one more higher high to be created, and with the divergence from the 4-hour chart, so the bearish divergence, then I'm going to expect like around these zones that we have supply. We can see here that we have strong supply around 99 zone. From around that zone maybe we are going to clean it, then we can go and see for the further sells. So for me, for the moment, for the dollar, I will be more bearish than bullish anyway. Now depends on the numbers, because if the numbers they're gonna be, both of them, they're gonna be really good, maybe I'm gonna change my mind, and because the market is changing anyway. Alright, so let's go to the Euro USD. What we can see on the Euro USD here, let's go on the weekly chart. So the weekly chart is quite, like almost the same like a dollar index, only is like the opposite of the dollar index, because even here, we can see that we are more like in the range mark after the bullish trend, yeah, because we are still in the bullish trend, but after the bullish trend, now we had, like quite deeper and quite a long time, like correction, developed and only like developed in a range. Here the same like the DXY. What I'm expecting from the price on the weekly, for me, I just want to see. I don't really like this candle, the aggressive candle that we have here, the shooting star, is quite really aggressive and ugly, because sometimes this candle is the meaning that the trend can change. So from the bullish side, maybe we can even like try to move like quite lower, because this one with the wick is quite a aggressive candle. Maybe we are going to feel the wick anyway. So here what I'm expected and what I want to see after this correction to the downside, yeah, after this correction to the downside, one more move to the upside to complete the divergence, the bearish divergence on the daily and on the weekly, and only after that divergence to have deeper move to the downside. And if we're going to go on the daily, so the daily chart, we can see clearly that we are now in the bullish momentum, because here we have lower highs, we created higher highs, so again higher lows now, higher highs, higher lows, and higher highs. So we are clearly in a bullish trend. If the trend is going to change, we need to go and make lower low here. So once this zone is gonna be broken to the downside, then the change is gonna be changed, and then it's gonna be a bearish trend. But until this zone is going to hold, we are just looking for the buys, even from here, from the current zone. If not, we are going to see here, we can see that we have so many buyers around this zone that we mark it right now. Okay, if now again I will just put the Fibonacci retracement to have some clues where the price can go with this correction. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the first Fibonacci retracement, and now I'll put N on the last leg that formed. So the leg from here and went to the upside. Okay, and now we are going to have the zones. We can see clearly here that we are in a strong zone right now. We are having the 61.8 Fibonacci golden ratio plus the 50% Fibonacci retracement. Here I'm going to mark this one with a different color. I'll just put it like this. And what I want to show you one more thing, that we can see here that after this broken, let's say like this, like a broken correction that happened to the upside, just went straight to the upside. Now we can see clearly that maybe it's going to be retested this zone and the line, and from here we can go easily start the move to the upside. If in case this zone is not going to hold, then if this one we are going to start like this, that should be okay. If this zone is not going to be hold and we are going to break it to the downside, then the next level is going to be around this zone that we have here marked, and we have some really good how to say Fibonacci retracement here around this zone, and then only after that to look for the buys to the upside. So for me I'm still bullish on the Euro USD, looking for further buys, and we are going to see the numbers next week on the dollar. Okay, let's continue with the GBP USD again on the weekly. On the weekly, clearly we've been in an uptrend, so higher lows and higher highs, and now we had the correction in two waves. So after this uptrend, we have the first wave of the correction and the second wave of the correction, because many times the after a bullish trend or a bearish trend, the correction is going to be in two waves or one wave or range. So these are if in case it's going to be in 3 waves, then the trend, you know, possible to be changed. So again, what do we had here? After the bullish trend, we had the correction to the downside, then we broke to the upside, continued the move to the upside, retested this zone, you know, that we broken earlier. Now we are in a bullish crossover here. For me, I just want, you know, this divergence, because we can see clearly that is developing like a divergence here between the prices. What I want to see, another push to the upside, and only after that, you know, to see price, you know, that is gonna go lower. So for the moment, still bullish on the GBP USD. Then if we're going to go on the daily chart and we are going to analyze the daily chart, what do we have here? Here we have clearly, you know, like a bullish structure. So on the daily we have bullish structure, on the weekly we have bullish structure. Here we have 3 waves to the upside, first wave, second wave, higher low and higher highs, and now we don't have signs against here, only possible like a correction or a deeper correction in 1 wave or 2 waves. So let's say like maybe it's going to come in 2 waves, and only after this correction we are going to have one more leg to the upside, complete the bullish divergence, the bearish divergence here on the price, and only after that, you know, to look for the sales from after that higher high. For the moment, I'm still bullish on the GBP USD. If we're going to go on the 4-hour chart, let's go on the 4-hour chart. I'm going to put again, let's go on the daily to put just, you know, to put the Fibonacci retracement. So this one, guys, I will just delete this ones and this one from here. Okay, and now I'll just put the Fibonacci retracement from the lows to the highs, just to have, you know, where the correction can stop. Come on, it's moving a little slow. So we can see clearly that the first zone we have here, this resistance that now is support here, and the confluence that with the trend line and with the Fibonacci retracement is really a nice price there. It's really nice price there. If in case we are going to go lower, we can see clearly that we have, you know, quite a lot of buyers around these zones here. So if this one zone is going to hold, we can look for the buys from there. Now it depends on the numbers from Wednesday and Friday. If not, we can go make one more low, and only after that, you know, to see the price is going to go higher and higher. So again, like I said, you know, on the 4-hour chart, the 4-hour chart is quite a little interesting, because here on the 4-hour chart, so the daily is bullish, the weekly is bullish, and the 4-hour chart means that is now is like quite bearish, because we have 3 waves to the downside. So here is another thing, you know, that I can say here, that maybe we're going to have some deeper correction, one more low, and only after that, you know, to go with the highs, you know, from that time. So like I told you earlier, the first zone from the buy is around this zone. Then the second zone, you know, if we are going to go lower, is going to be around that zone. Okay, let's go to USD CAD. USD CAD again on the weekly, and this one we can see that we are in a bearish trend. So bearish trend, and here, you know, we have quite so many zones of supply around the zone, so many zones of the supply. We can see here that we have a fake out to the upside, return to below, and then retest again, you know, the zone of the supply. And after this zone was retested again, the price moved lower. Here again we can see that is going to form like a bullish divergence on the weekly. So every low here that is going to be, if we are going to have one more low, then I believe, you know, the price, you know, can go and make its correction to the upside a little higher. But for the moment I'm still bearish here. If we're going to go on the daily chart, so the daily chart, you know, we can see that we have a little more like a bullish divergence between the last lows. So here is really possible that this divergence, so we had here we can see clearly that we are in the bearish trend here, but bearish trend finished with the bullish divergence. So now we know once this high is still going to hold, I'm still going to look for one more low to be created, because my opinion is that after this correction here, the price can go much further, and only after that, you know, to see some rallies on the USD CAD. I'm going to put end the Fibonacci retracement from the top to the low, and then I'm going to see the 38.2 we are having exactly where we are around now. And if in case we are going to go higher, we can go even around 50% of the Fibonacci. We can see here that we have quite more sellers around this this area that we have here. Okay, let's go on the 4-hour chart. On the 4-hour chart, we can see that we have some slowdown after this correction here. Maybe possible that after these two waves to have straight from here, if this top, you know, here, if this higher high here, it will hold, then really possible to see, you know, some push to the downside. Okay, we can see here that we have quite a lot of supply, so many sellers around this zone. On the MACD, we can see some slowdown here, and plus we have some crossover on the MACD. Let's go 1-hour chart. 1-hour chart shows like it's quite interesting. Between the last two higher highs created, we can see that we have some bearish divergence here, and the thing that I like more is that on the short term, so 1-hour chart, this one was broken to the downside, plus we made lower lows. It was our last higher low, and now we created lower lows on the chart, lower lows on the MACD. So for me, on the short term, yeah, maybe before the, but now we are going to have the news on Wednesday, so it's quite risky. Before the news, if this is going to hold, because here we have supply. If this one is going to hold, I'm looking only for the sells on the short term on the USD CAD. So on the USD CAD, on the short term, I'm looking only for the sells. Let's go on next one, GBP CAD. So let's go on the weekly. On the weekly, we can see here that we have the a massive bearish divergence between the last highs formed. After this bearish divergence, now we know we had a move to the downside quite aggressive. Now we have, you know, some correction. I'm expecting that one more lower low to be created here to complete in the correction, the first wave, and now the second wave, and only after this second wave to see, you know, some more push, you know, to the upside. The interesting part here that, you know, here we have some supply level, then the price moved down, closed with the wick, then again here came with the wick, closed down, went to the downside, then again with the wick, went to the downside. So here we have a massive supply. Only here we made a false breakout to the upside, but the price, you know, turned over and went to the downside. It was only a false breakout to the upside here. Yeah, so now we have really important zones. This is most crucial zone for me, my opinion, that we reached here on around 1.89, something like that, around that zone. So now what I want to see here, because 2 weeks ago, you know, again we came with the wick, and after the candle closed, you know, the price moved to the downside. Let's go on the daily. On the daily, what I like here is that, you know, possible that created here lower lows already. So here I'm expecting any move to the upside. I'm looking for the sells. We have important zone here. We have sellers. So many sellers there around that zone. Even here, so many sellers. So once the price possible to push a little more to the upside, I'm looking only for the sells on GBP CAD for the moment. If we are going to go on the 4-hour chart, the 4-hour chart, we can see that we made like 2 waves to the downside. I'm expecting, you know, to create and one more low. So first wave, the second wave, now correction, and I want to see, you know, one more push to the downside. So I'm looking only for the buys here. Only for the sales on the GBP CAD for the next week. Let's see what's going to happen. Now on the 4-hour chart, if I'm going to clear, you know, the drawings, I can see clearly, you know, that we are having something like so head, shoulder, made the lower lows. It was the last higher lows here on this one. We made lower lows. Now correction, and I'm expecting only after this correction to have, you know, one more leg at least to the downside. So GBP CAD only for the sales I'm looking. Okay, and the last one, we are going to see gold. Gold, all right. So gold on the weekly, what do we have on the weekly? The weekly is quite bullish, so we don't have sign against, only some slowdown on the MACD. So with this week that we had here, maybe the correction is going to start and we're gonna see further downside move to the on gold. We can see here that this is quite the most important zone here. If the price is going to go around 4,000, I believe, you know, from that zone we can go further to create further higher highs. All right, then on the daily we can see that we've been overbought. I like the last three candles that formed, you know, here and closed below 8 EMA. Now, you know, my opinion is that, you know, the price is going to make only some correction to the upside and one more low, you know, to be created on the daily here. On the 4-hour chart, what I like here, most important fact here, is that I want to see two waves of correction. So first wave of the correction, now to have, you know, a deeper wave here to the upside, and then to come, you know, and the second wave of the correction to the downside. And only after that, you know, if in case we are going to go around 4,000, only after that, you know, to look for buys. For me, currently, I'm looking only for the sales in gold. If I'm going to 1-hour chart, so 1-hour chart, what do we have here? 1-hour chart, I want to see something like this. So we broke, let's say we broke the trend line here. We are moving to the upside. Let's put on the 4-hour chart, let's put in the Fibonacci. Okay, let's put the Fibonacci retracement. I will just put it from the top to the bottom, and we are going to see, you know, where the price, you know, can go now with the correction before a lower low to be created. The price here, so around for 5,100, we have so many sellers. This is the supply zone, really strong. So sellers, so many sellers around this zone. We are currently around, you know, if we are going to see this price around here, we can see that we have in the golden ratio of 61.8 Fibonacci retracement. So once we are going to clear this zone here, I'm expecting from this zone to have one more lower low created. If this one is not going to hold, then the second zone for me is this one here. This one is really important zone. This one, so many sellers around there, and if we will not hold the first zone, then the second zone is gonna be there, and again looking only for the sales. So for next week, just be careful, you know, with so many news with the USD, the NFP, and the CPI and retail sales. I think there are retail sales next week. For gold, like I said, you know, I will just look for the next week, and maybe even in 2 weeks now, you know, I will just look for the sales for the moment, and only after that to create one more lower low, you know, only after that, you know, to look for the sales. Invalidation on gold is only if we are going to close above this zone, then correction, and then I'm going to believe that, okay, we are going to see further highs, create the divergence on the daily, and after 6,000 to then only after that to see, you know, some lows created. All right, then have a great weekend ahead, and see you maybe later or possible